You've probably heard that most diets fail long term, which is true. Out of 14 participants in the 2009 Biggest Loser, only one kept the weight off after 6 years. And all of them ended up weighing in more than they did when the show had even started. In a 2020 systematic review evaluating the challenges of keeping weight off, they found that while all participants in each of the 8 studies were able to achieve weight loss, they all saw weight regain after the diet was over. I'm going to teach you how to be an exemption. Getting shredded for a photo shoot, competition, or event needs to be approached differently to getting shredded and staying shredded for the long run. Fat loss is easy. We all know that. It simply requires a caloric deficit. Burn more calories than you consume. Just remember that as you lose weight, the number of calories you burn will decrease. This is called metabolic adaptation. Resting energy expenditure decreases because your body is getting smaller. You burn less calories per unit of exercise because your body is becoming more energetically efficient. And you won't burn as many calories through NEAT because your body is becoming less hyperactive and less fidgety. And the thermic effect of food goes down because you are eating less. So let's say you kick things off in a 500 caloric deficit. After a few weeks or even a few days for some, you will find that you are no longer in a deficit and need to either increase your output or decrease your intake. Beyond a caloric deficit, you need 2 things: weight training to support muscle mass and enough protein to support muscle mass. Usually around 1.6 to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. Following fad diets, cutting out entire food groups, isolating yourself from social events, and avoiding restaurants may help you lose a lot of weight quickly, but it can also deteriorate your relationships, cause nutrient deficiencies, uncontrollable cravings, and eventually make the diet feel unsustainable. Obviously, we need to come up with a better approach for long-term fat loss. This is done by using 3 tools. Slow and steady wins the race. So we're going to aim to lose around 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per week. Maybe even less for some. Taking your sweet ass time makes dieting seem relatively easy and allows you to still integrate the foods you enjoy and be present for social events. Don't be reactive to the occasional spike in daily body weight and assess the trends over the course of the week. To ensure that you're losing around the ideal rate of 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per week, then I'd recommend a caloric deficit of around 20% below your current maintenance. Generally speaking, most men can expect to maintain something around 10 to 20% body fat. For women, the realistic range tends to be 18 to 28% body fat. If you're trying to maintain a physique that's leaner than your genetic body fat set range, it will be very hard for you to sustain it, even if you do everything right. So create daily habits when motivation drops, and it will drop. So if you haven't built the right habits, you'll most likely start regaining the weight you lost. Creating habits involves understanding human psychology and behavior. Here are 3 science-backed methods to establish habits effectively. 1 is implementation and intention. This technique involves planning specific actions for certain situations. Research shows that people who use implementation intention are more likely to follow through with their goals. For example, instead of just saying, I will exercise more, you would say, if it's 7 a.m. on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, then I'll go for a 30-minute jog in the park. This clear if-then structure helps your brain automate the behavior. 2 is habit stacking. This method involves linking a new habit with an existing one. Research suggests that this can increase the likelihood of a new habit being reinforced. For example, if you wanted to start flossing your teeth every night, you could stack it with an existing habit like brushing your teeth. After you brush, you floss. Over time, the association between the 2 actions becomes stronger, making it easier to floss regularly. Habits form through repetition and reinforcement. The habit loop consists of 3 components: the cue, which is the trigger, the routine, which is the habitual behavior, and the reward, so satisfaction gained from performing the behavior. To establish a habit, identify a cue that will prompt the behavior, perform the routine consistently, and then reward yourself afterward. Over time, your brain will associate the cue with the routine and the reward, making the behavior automatic. By applying these strategies, you will effectively create new habits and integrate them into your daily routine. Remember, consistency and patience are key to successful habit formation. Now, I'm pretty confident that the above will get you the results that you're after, but if not, the 3rd tool definitely will. So 3, have a post-diet plan. The mistake most people make is with reverse dieting. As you transition out of a deficit, your metabolic rate increases. However, the longer you engage in reverse dieting, the longer your body remains in a caloric deficit. As a result, it takes longer to reverse the aforementioned metabolic adaptations compared to going directly to your maintenance calories. So, from a metabolic perspective, reverse dieting doesn't really make sense. But there are some situations where it can be useful. For example, it can reduce weight fluctuations, which can be less stressful for some people, and not everyone is aware of their precise maintenance calories. And your experience of metabolic adaptation may be different in comparison to somebody else, and therefore the gradual increase may limit unwanted fat accumulation. Although I do recommend going straight to your maintenance calories straight away if you no longer have the goal of losing weight, because then why are we in a deficit? So finding your new maintenance calories at the end of the diet can take a bit of trial and error, but for the most part, it should be around 200 to 600 calories above what you are eating at the end of your cut. This process doesn't need to be long and dragged out. Simply monitor your average weight trend from week to week, and if you're still more or less maintaining, it may be time to add some more calories. This is a good idea, not because it's a special trick for boosting your metabolism, but rather because you can eat more food, you'll feel less restricted, which will make it easier for you to maintain your weight. Your training performance will improve, which is always a good thing. So let me know if this helped.